No complaints. Where are you right now, by the way? I like this background you got. I don't know.
Oh, this is my office in my chair when I do live meditations like I do tonight on Insight Timer. And everybody's like, "Are you in paradise? Where are you? We're in a cage." Other people are like, "You look like you're in a cage." I'm like, "No, it's my little egg dome that I like to do sessions out of, because I can cross my legs up and get comfortable." But
Yeah.
I'm currently in San Diego. I just arrived a couple days ago. I was in Lanai, bopping around a lot these days. So
Okay.
yeah,
San Diego.
I head to Vegas tomorrow. So I'm a little nervous about that. I haven't been to Vegas in years, and when
Oh,
there's
nice.
that many people and that much energy, I'm like,
Yeah.
whew.
Yeah. They got the new dome there, right? I think it's
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen any of that yet,
gonna
so
have to check that
I will. I will.
out. Anyway, welcome, and
Thanks.
very excited to be speaking with you and introducing you to the Wikipedia community, the Instagram community, whoever's tuning in here.
Yeah.
Uh, but really excited that you've decided to join us and to offer us your wonderful array of talents and services to the community. So, welcome, and
Well, thank you.
pleasure to
Oh,
have you here.
I froze up a little, or
Oh,
you did.
yeah,
There we are.
sorry.
Thank
Um,
you.
of course. So what I was thinking we do is just kick things off by hearing more about your story,
Okay.
your journey, anything that you're willing to share with us that can help us understand, provide some context as to how you got to where you are and what you're doing and why
Yeah.
you're doing it. So, I like to frame it in context of the awakening journey,
Hmm.
just in terms of how you've kind of risen out of the dream and come into truth, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, but whatever you want to share, I just would like to hear more about it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my awakened journey, as I may have mentioned to you in the past, it's kind of happened a few times in this life. In that it started at a really young age for me, but in that I was already hearing and seeing things, and the that was something, again, I was raised in Western culture, Western religion, so all my context and understanding of that was God and Satan, and I had that background. So it took a while for me to be open to doing what I do today because of having that foundation. And one of the things I can say for myself is, numerous times in this life I've had my foundation ripped out from under me to have to rebuild again. And that I now understand why, whereas for so long it was the victim mentality of like, why me? And now I understand what a great opportunity that was, because now it's something I help all the time with clients.
Right.
Those who might be feeling like their foundation's a bit shaky, or that their foundation, and right now with everything that's going on in the world, a lot of people feel like their foundations have been pulled out from under them. And not many people, I'm learning, have had it pulled out from under them as many times as I have in my life. So it allowed me a unique skill set to understand. It was basically hard knock school for me to figure out how to navigate through all this. And it was my intuition, my spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, for me, that kind of lent itself to figuring this out so that I can help other people and give them the opportunity that, of the tools you can utilize to get yourself and through it, and how to go and trust your inner compass and your guidance and intuition, and how to discern. Because
Right.
with all the outside noise and the external factors and the energies that glom onto us, that is, I think, the biggest challenge for most of us, is how to want to create. It's like a caveat of two things. One, creating the space of like, hey, I'm going to clear these energies and external noises. And then also the other portion of it is leaning into the discomfort of the pain, which a lot of us want to avoid.
Right.
And it's those combinations that we're not taught these things. So
Yeah.
as I mentioned, though, it started out young. 17, I was misdiagnosed with schizoaffective disorder because I was struggling with voices. And I was really dealing with PTSD, but at the time, because I heard voices, doctors and saw things, doctors are like, well, she's schizoaffective.
Right.
So I was put on medication for 4 years, and this is 20 plus years ago when medications weren't as common as they are now
Mm.
with antidepressants, anxiety, and all that. So it was very much I was a guinea pig, and I was put on a lot of different medications. Nothing was really working. Lots of side effects.
Yeah.
Like I won't get into those, but they were entertaining. And so then I decided at a certain point because it wasn't working, hey, I'm gonna get off these medications. And I had family and friends supporting me and saying to me, what if you just ignore the voices, you know? And I had this, my intuition, a gut feeling of, I feel like I'm supposed to do something though with this. And because it was so unknown and so feared, and because I was in a culture of Western religion and cultures, everybody's like, you just need to get healthy and happy, you know? So I decided, oh, I'll just try ignoring the voices. I'll study science, you know, maybe I'm too creative and I'll work a different part of my brain. And I worked out a ton
Mm.
and I kind of basically squashed the voices because I wasn't able to handle it, you know?
Right.
And it was probably 5, 6 years ago, maybe. I'm not great with timelines. But around the same time, I'm feeling like the whole world and everybody else is starting to slowly awaken too,
Mm.
that I, on a whim, went to a medium. And it was something, again, I feared because of my background. But I did because I was in a space in my life where I'd been trying all these different things. Nothing was aligning, nothing was flowing. And I was very frustrated by that, and I just wanted to see if I was on a certain path or not. And this person was like, "You do this. You've been doing this your whole life." So it opened a community of people for me that allowed me to finally meet people that understood the struggles I had
Yeah.
in terms of managing the voices, right? And I decided to lean in, not fear it anymore because I'm like, well, I've survived it once. I think I can do it again. So I did, and I wrote a book about those struggles called A Growing
Mhm.
Soul Misdiagnosed, and it's pretty raw. I mean, I share all the things I went through, the challenges I faced, the whys I had the PTSD and how I healed from that.
Mm.
And I worked in the ER while I was studying science. This was in my late 20s. I went and worked in the emergency room. So a lot of the skill sets I learned to handle anxiety attacks, to handle sleepless nights, I was starting to utilize these techniques on the patients in the ER.
Mm.
So if we had, which sadly, I worked in one of the second busiest ERs in California. Sadly, we dealt with a lot of psych and drug patients, and so addictions. And so when they would come in, I was able to teach them how to do these techniques
Yeah.
so that they could calm down and we didn't have to restrain them, causing them further PTSD. So doctors and nurses would look at me and go, how did you know how to do that? And I didn't share with anyone my past stories because I didn't want to be judged. And it was like my little secret,
Yeah.
that I didn't want to share with anybody. So fast forward today, when I felt guided to create Soul Boost, write a book about it, I thought this is a horrible idea. And I'm trying to trust this intuition and these voices, and they're like, yeah, so we want you to write a book and share all your horrible things that you went through. And then we want you to create a company to help others. I'm like, this is terrible. You guys suck. And I wasn't very happy about it, I'll be honest. Um, so it was a lot of meditating, a lot of going in, listening to that intuition, learning how not to fear it, how to heal my wounds,
Mm.
and then being okay, being able to manage because I'm very empathic and sensitive, and
Yeah.
being able to manage that guiding people in a group meditation without falling apart crying with them because I can feel their struggles.
Mm.
And learning to hold space and how to, you know, help others so that they can gain these tools and understand the importance of it.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Wow. What a packed story and
yeah,
journey you have.
trying to get it as condensed as I
I
can.
could spend hours just going through all of that,
Yeah.
but I think the essence of the takeaway that I feel is that um, you walk the path.
Yeah.
You walk the talk is the expression, um, and you are leading through direct experience.
Yeah.
That, and there's no more pure, powerful teacher and facilitator than he or she that's been through it themselves
Mm-hmm.
and has the direct experience. It's why the Buddha says, "Come see for yourself." Right?
Yeah.
You have to walk this path on your own, go through hell, and come back in order to be able to see the light for what it is. Um, and I sense through your story and what you shared with me that you're one of the real ones in that way, uh, which is the standard and the bar for Awakenpedia partnership and those who
Mm.
come into the community, um, because it's your authenticity, right? That is
Yeah.
an emanation of your energy, that is really what's doing the healing and holding the space for your
Mm-hmm.
clients
Mm-hmm.
in any healing capacity, right? So if you're not there yourself, you can't facilitate that for clients. Um,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for sharing your story, for providing some context about your journey and how you've gone trudged through the world to realize that you're not crazy, you're
Yeah.
not so you're just a spiritual being that's connected to the higher self, to your indwelling essence, and
Yeah.
those voices are of course there is what I want to clarify or just caveat is that um, part of this journey is being able to distinguish the voice in the head versus the
Correct.
inner voice. And that voice in the head is the ego
Mm-hmm.
speaking, the mind made self, that incessant mental chatterbox that never stops,
Mm-hmm.
versus the soft, intuitive whisper that is
Correct.
the voice of the inner self that's connected to all life,
Yes.
is life. Um, so that's part of the journey, of course, but that's all that I sense and hear is what's going on with you. And they tried to, as classically is done in the West, of medicate and label and condemn
Yeah.
and imprison and all this stuff. But anyway, it led you to this beautiful place where you are now, offering. You wrote a book about your journey. You created Soul Boost. You have you're a blossoming practitioner in this space, which is a nice segue into the next topic, which is I want to hear more about what you specifically offer
Yeah.
and the modality that you focus on. I called it intuitive meditation. And that's just an expression I used because I was trying to capture your unique blend of offering meditation, but also mediumship and
Right.
the combination of the two and how that, kind of manifests itself in practice. So could you talk about your style, your unique approach, because it truly is unique in
Thank
meditation
you.
space.
Well, you said it best because you already hit on one of my biggest struggles in marketing is how do I describe what it is I do?
Yeah.
I've changed it over the last 2, 3 years of like intuitive meditation, empathic meditation, empath meditation guide. And the reason for that struggle is yes, because I've had people in group sessions say, "Oh, so you're a medium," and I go, "Well, yeah, but here's at the core of it is I don't want to become anyone's 1-800 psychic, right?"
Yeah.
Um, for me, I felt very called to, and again, I'm not putting down those who do that. I'm really not. I think we all have our own spiritual thumbprint, and we are supposed to do what we're supposed to be called to do and find what our unique spiritual thumbprint is.
Mm.
And so I felt for myself, I was very much guided of wanting people to have the experience for themselves, like you touched on earlier. It's really about people understanding and having experience. Gratefully and hopefully they don't have to go through as much struggles as I did, which is I'm so glad to see a lot of clients not have to go through that because it was a bit overwhelming for me to go through those times. I mean, I was suicidal, I was depressed, I was all sorts of things. And so I don't wish that on anyone. And I don't think that necessarily means that has to be anyone else's journey either.
Right.
I think, and I've seen a lot of clients who come to me and are able to go through it with much ease, but yet still have the experience of hearing that soft whisper, that intuition for themselves. And that was important to me because uh, having that background and when I worked in churches and I was a youth leader and asked to be a pastor, I didn't like the pedestal. And I didn't like anyone coming to me constantly going, well, what do I do? What do I? And it's like, ooh, you know, we're to empower ourselves individually, and I don't want to take that away from anyone. And although it's sometimes in my private sessions and sometimes in group sessions, I'll be pulled to deliver a message or give guidance in that way, I will. But it's not all the time. Like I'll have group sessions depending on the energy of the room and the guidance of what I'm being guided to do. We're just purely meditating. Or I'm talking more about science and energy and healing modalities of that nature and ways to work with your mental health. Because I'm very obviously passionate about that because of having to learn to do that for myself. So, and then there are times where recently I did an event and I went, I went around the room, did a little Reiki, gave little messages. And after the meditation, people were asking me questions. And then one of them was like, oh, so wait, you're a medium. So as you dig into this journey, as you know, spiritual awakening is one of the biggest things you learn is how not to create attachments to things and people and ideas and concepts. And that is one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I'm still learning from my guides constantly, which is, hey, let's not attach ourselves to that idea. So just like I don't attach myself to an opinion, even though we all have opinions, I do my best to question that opinion and to think a bit broader. Because at the essence of it, we're like you said, we're beings, we're energetic beings here, and we're creating and we're here to create and we're here to figure out what is our spiritual thumbprint, what is us at the essence of that. And so that's why I love Soul Boost, because it's really providing a space in meditation for people to learn and discover how to connect and receive messages for themselves from the universe. And it's fun too because I'll see afterwards when we discuss it. I often do this thing where I say to people, you know, ask your guides or your higher self, whatever you believe in. Because again, I'm not here to tell you what to believe in either. If you're an atheist, if you're agnostic, it's not up to me. It's not part of me to tell you what to do or think or believe. However, what's fun is in the meditation, I'll say, ask your higher self, your guides, ask for an image, a number, a color, and just make a mental note of it. And I talk about this in the beginning of the meditation, and then in the meditation, guide them for that moment. And then after the meditation, I'll ask people and say, what did you see? And someone might say, I saw the number 4, or I saw a parrot, or I saw blue. And I encourage them to, as woo woo as it sounds, I encourage them to Google the spiritual meaning of that thing that they got. And what's fun is people, it gives somebody peace, it gives everybody, myself included, a tangible thing because it's so unknown and it's so about faith and flexing that muscle and practice and building that muscle. But it is a way, and it's fun to see people's reactions when they read it and they go, well, yeah, that relates to my life right now. And it's a great way to connect and communicate with the universe and go, oh, okay, this is what I need to be focusing on, my intention, or where I need to kind of grow. And so that's been fun.
Mm.
Um, and or people get to connect with past loved ones in meditation.
Yeah.
Or we focus meditation where we're focusing on our bodies, physical healing, or focusing on just clearing our energies. It's an array of different intentions for meditations.
Sure. Wonderful. And just since you were starting to go into it a little bit, Darci, but um, if you could just quickly walk us through a typical, say, client session, that, and I know you touched on it a bit, but maybe you can just kind of elaborate on, what that looks like and what someone could expect in, working with you of, what a session looks like in context of your offerings, right? And
Yeah.
whether that's with a person or a group, and the structure of what you offer.
Well, and again, you hit on yet another struggle of mine to communicate well because it's so, I never know,
Everything.
it's really
Yeah.
not structured. I
Yeah.
mean, where it is structured is you in a group session, especially, you're going to expect a meditation where I'll play binaural beat music and I'll talk for 5-10 minutes about my story and then also tips on how to drop into meditation and what to, kind of pay attention to in meditation. And then afterwards, we talk about it, and then I'll answer any questions that people have. In a private session, it's kind of morphed into more of a conversational these days. I try all the time with my repeating clients. I'm like, let's meditate, and a lot of them are like, can we not? Can we just talk?
Mhm.
And that's okay too. I fought it at first because I was really like, no, you've got to meditate, you know? And I really had to let go and loosen my reins with that because not everyone enjoys meditation as much as me. and and that's why I love your platform and what you're creating here as a community because not everybody is meant to find their awakening or their comfort with meditation. It could be through different modalities.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful with what you're creating. That's why I didn't hesitate when my friend Chloe shared your site. I was like, heck yeah, because it felt in alignment to kind of my messaging as well. And
Yeah.
just, I loved what you were creating. But yeah, I mean, it's become more conversational these days um, because of the world and the state we're in. Um, a lot of people are just trying to understand or wanting somebody to talk to about their stress and their anxiety.
Yeah.
And I've learned that one of the things that it's kind of morphed into as well is me reminding people. I call it, and I think it's a used, I don't know, but I've heard this, I think, from friends of mine who've done AA or something, but it's like the piles of dishes in the sink, right? And that kind of understanding of like how many dishes are dirty in your kitchen sink, like clearing wise, right? And so, what I'm trying to really teach people is how to listen to their body, how to tune into that, how to release that energy. Because I don't know if you've heard of Human Garage, I think is what he calls himself. He talks a lot about fascia release. He's on internet stuff. He's amazing.
I don't
But
know him.
I'll send you his link. He's
Okay.
great. I haven't really met him or done it, but I just love what he
Yeah.
posts. But there's just so much out there but basically I'm trying to encourage people to create that daily practice. So it's like just last night I was sharing with a client, I'm like, I need, I get so aggressive. I'm like, I need you. That's why my guides are always like, pull back, but I say to them, like, it would really help you if you could go outside in the morning first thing, put your feet on the grass, and just spend a minute or two showing gratitude. Feel the sun, feel the birds, connect to nature. Just start your morning that way. And because everybody's feeling overwhelmed and busy and anxiety, and a lot of people, it's interesting to me because people are experiencing the things I experienced at 17 years old.
Yeah.
And it's really strange to me because I have friends and family and they're like, I'm having this. I'm like, oh, that's anxiety, and these are all symptoms and it's our body's way of communicating like, hey, and nobody really understands how to manage that. And hence why we disconnect or we numb, and we turn to other things.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you can practice the gratitude you can meditate in different ways through hiking or walking. You can journal, you can set intentions with your tea in the morning, and it's basically setting these rituals each day so that you get that moment to check in with your mind, body, and spirit.
Yep.
And that's really at the essence what you're needing to do, small moments throughout your day
Yeah.
to kind of regulate yourself again. And the dishes in the sink, I what I meant is for many who haven't necessarily done self-care or self-work, they have a lot of dishes piled up in their sink.
Yeah.
And so for those ones, and for those of you out there who are in that space of just like, I can't keep up and I can't get out of bed in the morning, which I've been there, those moments, I encourage people, it's really tiny baby steps are huge steps. So just, can you get yourself out for a walk? And that's it for that day, and that's okay. So that's when your dishes have piled up too much in your sink. Once you've gotten those dishes down and you've utilized these different modalities of Soul Boost or other people out there, then I'm encouraging my clients to understand how to do it for themselves. How do you clean your own dishes now? So
Yeah.
that you don't need to rely on me or other people all the time. We'll all need each other at times, but how do we get to that point, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point too about how do you become a truly self-sustaining
Mm-hmm.
being,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that uh, you can truly look after yourself
Right.
and know how to live sustainably and healthily, happily and peacefully in this world. um, yeah, I really appreciate your approach and intuitively understand, the structureless structure. You really sometimes, the best way to approach this work is when you let people, you just see where people are at, and that's
Mm-hmm.
determining how they're guided in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everyone's different. Everyone's at different
Right.
points of this journey. So it's really, the most wise way to go about it, as opposed to some type of blanket statement, black and white, you know, out off the shelf solution. You really need to be adaptive to and work with people, which I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate from your style. Um, yeah. So in terms of just, the actual breakdown of your offerings, just to clarify for everyone, it's you offer one-on-ones and group sessions. Is that right? Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Most all my privates are online
Okay.
now these days. Um, and then group sessions, I'll do like events, or if somebody's doing a special like gathering of sorts of a certain amount of people. And I'm just like I said, I did an event recently at a yoga studio trilogy in La Jolla. That was fun. That's a great community, and it was a little nerve-wracking for me because it was my first time in kind of like a city setting, if you will, and it was great to see people's responses to it because and again, I get a lot of confused looks in the beginning because as I try to describe it to people, they're like, "Oh, okay," and I share my story and they go, "Okay," and then at the end, they're like, "Wait a minute, what is? How did you, And then it's me trying to teach them like, "Hey, you can do this, meditate each day, and
Yeah.
here's
Yeah.
some things you can do for yourself," and kind of, I just want to get that out there for people. I'm working
Yeah.
hard. I'm trying to get the workbooks done, and as you know, it's a lot of work. And
Um,
you guys are doing a great job of it. So I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you and your efforts and contribution of presence to yourself and the collective, and your what you offer here to humanity with your services. The work we do is truly valuable work, and it will be increasingly valuable as more and more people wake
Hmm.
up and step
Hmm.
out of the matrix, and start to see more clearly,
Hmm.
and start to go through their own journeys, and as and I know, often that is very
Yeah.
challenging and
Yeah.
deeply intense and suffering, and the dark night of the soul, as they say. And so
Yeah.
having more and more people like us to be able to be authentic in our services and offerings to them, to help them
Hmm.
navigate and guide, even if it is simply, as you said, just someone to talk to,
Yeah.
someone that isn't rooted in the mind exclusively,
Hmm.
so that they're connected to the essence that is beyond sense perception,
Hmm.
that which is indwelling within all life forms. And to talk with somebody that is holding that space for them, that's not throwing academic terms at them and
Right.
CBT and ACT and all these things, which is not to say there's no place
Right.
for them. Of course it is, but it's to say as we continue to evolve, more and more people are going to be open and ultimately looking for these alternative solutions, because traditional styles and methods just aren't working as well
Correct.
as they were predicted to.
Correct.
Um, so yeah, having
And
someone to talk to is so important.
yeah, and I think where our world is shifting, I had a fun conversation with some strangers recently, and make a little bit of a not predictions here, but just thoughts, you know. We were just ruminating on like, wow, this in the world and this. And one of the conversations was, oh, you know, with AI. And I said a statement to them. I'm like, yeah, it already is here, but I think we're, to your point, needing it even more because we got to understand energetically and emotionally and mentally. But also, as this world is shifting, it's almost like we're being pulled to even more obviously in a more speedier sense because AI, we're not going to be able to trust our eyes.
Mm,
We're not going to
yeah,
be able to trust our ears as much.
yeah.
And so it's in a way on a macro level, it's kind of going to force us to really lean into feeling and intuition again. Because otherwise, if we're just looking at things and trust, but
Wow.
what was funny was I said to them like, "Oh, we won't be able to trust our eyes," and you could see their faces like, "Holy crap," you know. And then I was thinking about it later. I'm like, "Yeah, but we can't trust our eyes and ears now. We've just accepted it because there are things we can't see and hear that animals see and hear." And because we're so disconnected even from nature and animals and spending time, you know, being curious of what they're able to see and hear, we've just accepted it and we've moved into our, like you said, our mind space of like, well, we're living in this space, you know, in this realm.
Yeah.
But I mean, in all honesty, I do feel that shift is gonna force a lot of us to even understand more how to lean into our intuition and learn how to trust it more.
Mm,
Because without that that sense of, oh, okay, I have this to lean on, you know,
mm.
it's really what we're being pulled back to.
Yeah. Amazing point, Darci, truly. And I actually, it's something I hadn't considered or contemplated before, and just the influx of AI and how that's going to impact the awakening journey in that way. But you're so right. It's so true. Because it's funny you mentioned this. I was just watching a video about some girl AI ad that was like in some random parking lot or something. And it was like really like grotesque parking lot that was run
Yeah.
down and stuff, and they completely morphed the image to make it
Uh,
look real, as if she was looking in some beautiful lake and like with
yeah.
it, and it just complete.
Yeah.
And what you just described is exactly what I experienced and thought, which was like, what I would never have known that this was misleading, right?
Right.
And that's where you're so right that having faith and being connected beyond the senses
Mm-hmm.
and hearing from the level of soul, from the
Mm-hmm.
seat of consciousness itself,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be so much more important as we increasingly become
Yeah.
more tech enabled, tech
Right.
oriented. And if you're not, I mean, look at what's already happening and what we're experiencing. If you're not able to live from that
Fear.
stillness,
Right.
yeah, you're suspended in ego, which is rooted in fear,
Right.
rooted in suffering
Right.
ultimately. So that
Right.
dysfunction.
Right.
So this intuitive guidance is and helping people to connect to their intuitive selves is just a massive need and opportunity for the future. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad we have you to be able to
Mm.
help facilitate this for us, for the community, and for whoever else stumbles across Awakenpedia and your profile to see what you're offering. Um, so thank you for
Oh,
being a
thank
part of
you. I'm excited. You guys, it's going to be, I love the community you're creating. Like I said, it was like, usually I take time to think about things. I'm a little indecisive. And when I came across your platform and it was shared to me, I'm like, yep, signing up now. There was no hesitation.
it.
So anyhow,
I'm glad that you felt that emanation, of
mhm.
trust and safety and authenticity,
Yeah,
because that is what it's all about.
yeah.
So thank you, and guys, for everyone who tuned in. This interview overview will become part of your profile, Darci, in the member form.
Okay.
And in that, everyone can learn more about you, book with you directly, and stay up to date with your offerings and as they develop over time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, like I said.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, this is a good place to wrap up, and we'll talk
All
soon.
right, sounds good. Bye.
All right, bye bye.